United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Great, roll call please.
Mr. McIntosh? Here. Mr. Henry?
Here.
Mr. Allison?
Here.
Mr. Beazle?
Here.
Mr. Blau?
Here.
Mr. Scranton?
Here. I'll entertain a motion for the minutes of the October 21st meeting.
Move to approve.
Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. All right. Visitors communication.
Board comments.
Sit down. They'll call you. They'll call you. Oh, I thought you just.
Yeah, no, it's okay.
Right.
I'll call everybody that's signed up. Are you signed up on the list?
Yeah.
Okay, great. Thank you.
So, Fort Thomas Business Council update, so go right ahead.
Thank you. My name's Tracy. I'm a local business in town, and I'm just giving an update for what the Fort Thomas Business Council. Sorry, let me start over. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm Tracy. I'm a local business owner. I'm here representing the Fort Thomas Business Council to give an update of what we've been doing since the last council meeting. Our big initiatives right now are Shop Small, and it's Saturday, November 30th. We've been fortunate that a couple of our local business, Christine from Fort Thomas Coffee, Grassroots and Vines, has created this bag that they're going to be allowing all the businesses to give us something to drop in. Like Tickle Pickle gave us a little coupon with their Krabby Patty. And we have 500 bags. They were sponsored by Alliant and then co-funded the rest by everyone who's putting in the bag. They've given them away, or given them away at the Fort Thomas Market. They will, or the Farmers Market, this week and next week. The Post has had some big events and she's given some away and will still give them away, plus the day of Shop Small, which is November 30th. So if you're out and about, there's that. We also are having our December holiday social, which you are all invited to, and that will be hosted at the Post from 4:30 to 6:30, Thursday, December 5th. That's all I got.
Great, thank you.
Thanks.
Okay, Beth Otto.
Hello, everybody. I'm here to talk tonight about a few things, but mostly the central business district. And I'm going to tag on to what her said, what she said about Shop Small. I think that we need to think small. We're a small community in a area that has been defined by our families. My father, his father have all been here for a very long time. My daughter is living in Fort Thomas, and now it's my grandson. I think it's really important that we keep a small town feel. You know, I think it's important that Fort Thomas remains a family community and not become this explosive growth community like I'll use New York City, of course. I know that's like a huge difference, but when you do population explosion and you do building apartments on top of already existing businesses, then you get that kind of a feel. I think living in Fort Thomas has just always been such a really cool community because it has allowed for all of our families, everybody to know each other really, really well. And when you have a denser population, then that feeling of community ceases to exist. That's one point. The second point is, in the central business district, which I would think like in general consists of where I live on Miller at the moment, but Lumley, Shaw, South Shaw, Crow Hill, and Bluegrass, Indiana, Ohio, Taylor, all of those. I'm sure I've missed some streets back there as well. But there is all the way up to Highland Avenue. There is a lot, if you have more people, there's going to be a huge disruption in traffic. I already tell you, when I leave my house at 3 o'clock in the afternoon, I wait 15 minutes to leave Lumley to turn left. I don't have to wait that long to turn right, I will give you that, but it's at least a 15, if not a 20-minute ride from just to get out, to go anywhere. Right? That's definitely, that's one problem. Right now, there are so many vacant apartments in Fort Thomas, Kentucky. The need for more, in my opinion, there isn't one. Why don't we fill those that are there already before we build more? I don't think there's a reason to build more at this point. I think that we kind of learned a lesson a little bit with One Highland. Obviously, that might be because of the cost or whatever, but it's still, they're still laying vacant. I think the green space in Fort Thomas is one of the biggest reasons what the city of beautiful homes, that's what we've always been, right? We have these beautiful homes in the north, middle, and south end of Fort Thomas with these beautiful lots. And when you take away the front space of all of that, you lose that appeal of the city of beautiful homes. I think it's imperative that we leave some of that for Fort Thomas, which is what makes our city so great, and have it be something that everybody can strive to have and to want later on in life for their kids and their kids and grandkids. Green space in Fort Thomas is, I think, needed. Yes, we have a beautiful park. By the way, thank you very much for the park at the fort. It's awesome. And pickleball courts, it's always a good thing too. I think green space in the center of town could make it be absolutely remarkable. I always think about like Hyde Park, for example. They have the businesses around it, but the park in the center of town is really awesome. If the Central Business District maybe could have some part of that parcel of land become a park, I think, and I know that maybe Fort Thomas doesn't have the ability to be able to take on, with that, but I would imagine that if we have private fundraising and we can even hire somebody to only do that part, I don't know, it's just a floating a thought out there, that might really benefit everybody. Place for the kids to hang out. I live literally right across the street from Ameristop. So I see who's over there. I see everybody, that goes through there on a regular basis through Ameristop, down Lumley, down Hagedorn, and all the way through there. So I'm very aware of the traffic pattern. I've only been there for a month and a half. And by the way, I love it there. I love being in the center of town. I love everything about it. I like to be able to walk, and I like to be able to visit and see the community effort. That's what I like about that. Education. If you have too many people in the apartments, where are the kids going to go? We're already at a 21 or 24 to 1 ratio. You're going to have to build a new middle school or a new high school. And we had this discussion many, many years ago when we wanted to go from 3 schools to 2 schools and have it be, or from 3 to 4, and it just fell flat on its face. So I just think that's just opening up a can of worms when you're trying to take something that is already working very well and try to dismantle it. And from a personal standpoint,
We have 5 minutes.
okay, I'm done.
You can have my
I'm done.
time.
I just want to say from a personal standpoint, I don't want anybody looking on the second floor into my bedroom at nighttime. I just don't want it.
All right, thank you very much.
Next one.
All right, Steph Chalk.
Good evening, Steph Chalk, 21 Lafayette. And I'd like to discuss an overview of what we have in our community and talk a little bit about preservation. We all know that Fort Thomas is a very nice city, and I'll be so bold as to share with you what I truly want for our community. That is to preserve a city where your children, and hopefully your children's children, can grow up in a neighborhood that remains unique and a bit idyllic. What we enjoy today is a city where any one of us can walk into the historic district and feel safe day or night. A place where your children or your children's children can bike or scooters and feel safe and comfortable everywhere they can go. And I say with the exception of Pike 27, I don't think that's a safe place to bike or scooter. Within this city, we're in the midst of change. Some might say it's a major change, and ironically, the major change we're going through right now is self-inflicted. The city should not be spending time, money, and political capital courting developers under the auspices of progress. Fort Thomas offers a fantastic setting, low crime, a great community that cares about one another, and the U.S. citizens, or the citizens, we care about each other as well. Many of us are optimistic and love being here. Progress and development will find us soon enough. We don't have to really go out and seek it. Fort Thomas doesn't need a cadre of people giving away the store to keep developers interested in coming here or being here. The city should not be about courting progress. If anything, this city should be recognized as a destination for developers. We should not be considered a community service project as far as developers are concerned. Before we start changing everything that looks like an old building or ones that do not have functionality of a new building, Our city leaders need to recognize what we offer. Look at and consider the assets we do bring to the table for any developer. I would hope our city officials in the future will say this to all who are here this evening: I'll refrain from giving away the keys to the city. Do not deplete the finances in the interest of adding new buildings. It doesn't make sense right now. We gave a sweetheart deal to those who were involved with One Highland, and we can all sit here and say that wasn't me, and I would say that too. I wasn't involved, so it's part of me too. But maybe that's true. But going forward, you need to be ready to walk away from a development that's not good for the citizens or the city. And it's okay to walk away from a deal. A developer who repeatedly makes demands for the city to sweeten a deal might not be the best fit for our city. Don't enter into a less than favorable one-sided bond indenture. Developers should be standing in line to get a deal similar to the One Highland package that we did. We should not be required to proselytize our credit rating to entice or induce a developer to come to this city. That's really not necessary here. Not with what we have. The current planning commission and consultants have polluted your minds and our historic uptown. The planning commission and consultants continue to sell delusions of development. Now they are gleefully focusing on the next historic demolitions of numbers 3 and 4 in downtown Midway. The attitude at the planning commission sessions with the council at times seems to be business at any cost, touting and promoting massive new construction in the traditional historic zones. If you hold that belief, then this city just may be lucky enough to morph into a city like Florence, or maybe become the next Blue Ash type neighborhood, where business is king and the population leaves at 5 p.m. to go home somewhere else. Or build One Highland, or even 2 more, or maybe even a couple of high rises where 20% of the occupancy is deemed to be progress and a success. One might expect better after 3 years of a bull market in real estate and unprecedented historical low rates, but any improvement is a step in the right direction. Perhaps add a few glass buildings from the sidewalk to the sky, and it can be viewed which can be viewed in the 4th phase proposal from CT Consultants. And wait, that's not all you get. As we turn our city into a municipality that pushes business at any cost, taxpayers will be strapped with increased traffic, increased infrastructure, increased construction, increased demolition, increased legal expenses, and increased costs of city services. Can't you see that you're running the risk of creating a legacy of lunacy with all of the projects that we have at an end game, that if it's successful, it's of little value to the citizens here today? Our city, once known as a charming little close-knit community of 16,000 plus residents, could become an empty little ghost town at night.
Hey, Steph, you're up 5 minutes.
I just got a little more. Our city wants but we might have a few more One Highlands and some 48-foot glass buildings, as I understand. You all get a pass on One Highland. The next few developments are on you and all of us. So you tear down more historic buildings and put up 3 or 4 more office buildings or high rises. We can all meet in front of the Women's Club at the renamed intersection where our cross streets will be named on the corner at Wrecking Ball Road and Demolition Drive. In any event, you do too much of this and we reach a point of no return. We lose the charm, we lose that hometown feeling, and we lose that neighborhood feeling. Let the next generation grow up as you did, as I did. Progress will find us and uncover our Shangri-La soon enough on its own. Please take your position seriously. Stop giving sweetheart deals to developers who, in the name of progress, use wrecking balls and bulldozers on our historic structures. Thanks.
Thank you. Okay, Joan Ferris.
Joan Ferris, 66 Bernie Lane. I'll begin tonight by pointing out the blatant, unfair, and discriminating refusal to allow any comments tonight that were not brought up at the October 1st public meeting, with the exception of one man. If the slanted evaluation decreed by Brandon Volker can be considered, so can ours. He was not there. This was not brought up. He is an attorney whose webpage clearly details that his areas of practice are drafting simple wills, handling multi-million-dollar class actions, workers' comp, bankruptcy, personal injury, and family law. That's his limitation on his practice. His single claim to fame is serving as counsel to the victims of the Urbanbeck scandal. Nothing was mentioned about planning and zoning. Without attending a single open meeting regarding the planning and zoning changes in Fort Thomas, Mr. Volker arrived at the conclusion that the pre-public hearing was robust and extensive. That gives me chills. At the beginning of this process several years ago, the citizens were permitted to speak for 10 minutes per meeting. After a few meetings, 10 minutes were reduced to 3 minutes. After appealing to our city manager, it was settled on 5 minutes per meeting. At the public hearing of October 1st, that length of time was reduced back to 3 minutes. 3 minutes with no interaction and no discussion. How can that possibly be called robust? And the guy calling it robust wasn't even there. I object. I was at the planning and zoning meeting, or at the planning and zoning, we're onto murals a little bit here. There was one member of planning and zoning who was vehement that we prohibit murals. Not just removing the wording so that it could go either way. He repeated and repeated, and he really had to fight hard for it. No murals. Elisa said tonight that she will rewrite the section on the murals. I wonder if the public will have access to the new wording, and how long will they have access before the second reading or the first reading, whatever. I cared none about what you call it, but at the next reading, are we going to hear these changes? It was discussed tonight, approved with changes, but I'd like to read the documented changes. Also, I feel a little uncomfortable saying this, but I'm stunned that West Cunningham was dismissed from this meeting tonight. How much money did our city, the city with $14 million surplus, the city who budgeted $100,000 to resurface the tennis courts, but morphed that project up to $450,000, the city who is now hiring 2 full-time employees with benefits to beautify the city and its landscaping, how much money did we save by dismissing West to pay for these projects? Are we close? I doubt it. So we're now faced with this UDO. We've got 458 pages, 185,847 words, approximately. That's more than Great Expectations by Charles Dickens, more than Jane Eyre by Charlotte Bronte, oddly, more than double 1984 by George Orwell. And here we are. I believe in George Orwell's 1984. Carry on.
Thank you. Olivia.
Hi, City Council members. My name is Olivia Navarre, also formerly known as Olivia Otto for most of you. I spent my entire life here. I grew up in the north end of town, and now I'm raising my son, Otto, who is going to be 3. We live, oddly enough, right next to my parents, 18 Miller Lane, so we are directly across from the CBD district. I want to say I'm very opposed to the development of apartments in the CBD district. More so because from an educator standpoint, which I am an educator, and so is my husband, we firmly believe in the ability for students to have individualized education. Well, the more density equals more people. How are you going to get more individualized attention for students when there's more people and nowhere for them to go? That's my biggest concern. My other biggest concern is just the safety. I love that I'm raising my son here. When I graduated from high school, I said, I'm never moving back to Fort Thomas. It's too much of a bubble. I hate that everybody knows our business, yada, yada, yada. Well, I was proven wrong. So let's keep it that way. Let's keep the bubble, as many of us youngsters say, and allow us to raise our families with the safety and security that we all know and that we love. As my mom pointed out, yes, this is my mother. Why change what is not broken? My grandparents live here, my aunts, my uncles, my cousins, my friends, everybody. Let's just keep it the way that it is. That being said, I am all for a park in the CBD district. I would love for my son to be able to run around over there, which he still currently does, even though it's just a piece of ground. But hey, you put a park in there, I guarantee you, you're gonna have more kids over there, more fun, more friends, more community. More community brings in more shoppers, and hopefully can continue to grow the wonderful businesses that we have. I'm not gonna take up any much more of your time, but I just wanna say that honestly, from a standpoint of my age, let's just keep it the way that it is. Thank you.
Thank you. Peggy?
Good evening, Peggy Maggio, 37 South Shore Lane. I'd like to speak to you tonight about two issues. Issue number one being the legal review that was done in the zoning code. And issue number two, talking about us spending in excess of $200,000 for a 450-page UDO and finding out tonight that we're going to have to continue this process. Anybody tired of this process? Anybody back here tired of this process? My husband's probably gonna divorce me if I go back tonight and tell him not to be working on this some more. I told him that tonight it would be it, we would be buttoned up, and here we are. So issue number one on the issue of the legal review. The legal review that I saw had to do with reviewing Tim's actions in this case, and I don't think that's the legal review that anybody was asking for. I don't think anybody has any doubt at all that Tim is great at his job and can certainly fulfill the role of his expertise of city solicitor. However, Tim himself has said that he does not have expertise in the zoning field. So to that end, I have, Matt, I don't know how many times we've talked about this, and I've sent you Beth Johnson recommendations for actual zoning attorneys. Why is this important? Well, number one, Wes Cunningham, who is here tonight, wrote a letter to Kevin Barbian dated April 9th, 2024. I've talked to you on several occasions about the importance of having a prevail clause in the zoning code. The UDO, as it's set up right now, is out of the gate in contravention of some of our design review guidelines. This sets up a problem going to court forward and just for enforcement in general. In this letter of April 9th, 2024, Wes said, I recommend the following language: where contradictions between the zoning ordinance and the design guidance occur, the design guidelines will govern. Lisa did put this language in the historic areas as it has to do with design guidelines, like how many windows are in the front, but when it came to the substantive development standards, she did not. Matt, you told me that it was illegal to put it in that section. I asked you at the time for some specific legal opinion regarding that question, and I've not heard back. Tim told me tonight, at least to his recollection, I understand we're all getting old, that he doesn't think he reviewed this. This is a specific zoning attorney issue that could be answered out of the gate if we get the right attorney in place for the review. Wes had several other suggestions. That my concern, as you all know, is that we've got the design review guidelines, that they won't have power. And they are our final set of guardrails when it comes to keeping our city our city. Tonight we had new folks step up, and I love that, who, passionately talked about what the city means to them and how they like to keep the city small. And I couldn't agree with that more. So I'm hoping those guardrails will prevail, and that I'm hoping that you will have an actual zoning consultant take a look, a zoning attorney, take a look and do a legal review on this. Secondly, it actually blows my mind that $200,000 into this, we're talking about these amendments. When it comes to doing a whole new public hearing, I would argue the public hearing we had was inadequate. The only two places that I could find where that public hearing were advertised were, number one, if you happen to go into Link Northern Kentucky and you happen to find the page and you happen to click on the QR code, it'll take you to a page of every single city around here and all their public notices, and somehow you have to find the public notice. Do I think that fulfills the KRS requirement? Sure it does. But does that give actual public notice to the people of Fort Thomas? I would argue not. The only place it was on our website was on the calendar. It wasn't headlined anywhere on the website. It wasn't any place on the website. I called up here. and said, can you guys tell me where the notice of this public hearing is on the website? And they said it's not, it's on the calendar. So again, if we would have to go back, or if we do choose to go back and reopen another public hearing, this would give more Fort Thomas citizens the chance to come forward. I found out tonight for the first time that if we did not bring up an issue at the public hearing, it could not be discussed anymore tonight, although we can come before you with everything. So I'm coming before you to ask you not to turf this issue of the Ameristop down the road. I went back and looked at the joint hearing of the Planning Commission and Council of July 31st of this year. When this particular issue came up about Ameristop, you all seem to be tending toward one-story commercial buildings. I know we talked about a transition to our 150 home neighborhood. This is what we're used to. We're used to the Ameristop. We're used to that one level building. I don't believe there's anybody in our 150 home neighborhood who wants apartments at the top of that of our neighborhood. It encroaches into our neighborhood.
Thank you, you got 5 minutes.
She can have my time back. She's covering what I wanted to talk about. Thanks.
Thank you.
Thanks, Sharon. So I would ask you to take a vote tonight, because at that joint meeting, there was no vote. Never did you guys go around and say whether or not you wanted one configuration or another put into the final code that you're gonna vote on, that we had the first reading of tonight, the UDO. What happened instead was that Lisa cut off discussion. You can go back and look at it. It's at marker 1 hour, 58 minutes, pretty much on the dot. You all were talking about maybe a transition, maybe not, what that would look like, and Elisa said, okay, on to the next subject. And that was it. That's how much discussion happened about buttoning up that issue before it went to the Planning Commission, before it went to the public hearing. So that issue tonight is so important. And I think there's probably consensus on this council that nobody wants apartments up there at that Ameristop parcel. So if we would button that up tonight, it would require some courage here, and would require some hard work, and it would require having another public hearing. Elisa said we'd send all the letters out. We don't have to send all the letters out. I just asked her before she left, and she concurred, because you just took out the entire Fort Thomas overlay. So all the letters that went to all those people on the whole avenue would not have to be sent out. The public hearing, yes, would have to be reopened, but maybe we could actually give real notice this time. We wouldn't have to expect the Fort Thomas public, to look at some QR code or search in the calendar of our city website. This all goes down to how we are administering our city. Are we really a city that we put $200,000 into a zoning code to have to do amendments the next month or the second month? This is a city where we have to go out month after month after month and get signatures and upset everybody. When you go door to door, people get upset. They don't want to hear that maybe there could be apartments up at the top of where the Ameristop is, where they live. I would just ask you to button it up tonight. Let's talk about what you all want for there. I'm hoping that will be one-story commercial, because that's what I hear that many of you want. I hope you'll button it up. I hope that you will actually vote on it, not like Lisa tonight says, okay, we're done. Well, I had no idea what you guys had decided. I had to come up to you individually and say, what y'all just decide? And a few of you said, we're gonna do an amendment. We spent too much money and too much time to have to do amendments. So I would ask you to reopen the public hearing. Let's look at West Cunningham's recommendations at that time. Let's not push this. Let's not even do a first reading tonight. If you do, vote no, and then it has to go back to the Planning Commission. Now I would ask you to do what's been asked by a lot of folks here, and have an actual zoning attorney take a look at this, so they can answer the hard questions, like whether or not we can defer the design review guidelines. So that's all I'm here asking tonight, but I would ask you to vote on this tonight, whether or not to have a public hearing, and not be turfing these things down the road. Let's be done. I'm tired, you're tired, they're tired. My husband's about to divorce me, so let's find out. Thank you.
Thank you. Elizabeth,
I defer until the end, see if anybody brings up on topics.
Melanie,
Good evening, Melanie Powers, 13 Pearson Street. Mayor, city manager, members of council. On October the 16th, the Planning Commission, after a very extended discussion and deliberation, voted to approve the Tower Park Historical Overlay. As a resident of Fort Thomas at large and within Tower Park specifically, I strongly agree with the Planning Commission's vote. The Tower Park Historical Overlay will help support the historic preservation of Tower Park, our crown jewel of the whole city. The very, very small number of individuals who have voiced any opposition to the overlay have not conclusively shown factual evidence that the historical overlay would be an undue burden for any of them, or that it is an overreach of government. The many positives of the historical overlay are significant to the integrity of the newly proposed UDO and to all who treasure Tower Park. I urge you therefore to follow the Planning Commission's decision and to vote yes for the historical overlay at Tower Park. Thank you.
Thank you. Tiffany?
I'd like to start by just saying congratulations on all your appointments. And I look forward to working with all of you on how we can improve transparency for our citizens. I'd like to keep this short tonight, but I'd like to ask the mayor directly, since I understand I'm not allowed to speak directly to the council members. I'm not allowed to ask them questions. So my question tonight is, in terms of starting with transparency, Mayor, how can we get the Planning and Zoning Commission meetings taped from this point forward? Will you commit to it?
Yeah, we're still working with them. It really is just getting Dennis contract on to record them. So.
Can we start with the next one?
For the next
I mean,
one.
it's been, I'm just, in fairness, it's been since
you-
2018.
You're absolutely correct.
And that's all I'm asking tonight.
I'm very frustrated with it, but yes, let's.
Okay, thank you so much. I think he's available.
He said he is.
Thank you. I so appreciate your time.
What is going on with our system?
Thank you. Yes.
I mean, I know,
Yeah.
do we have a new camera installed? No. Okay.
I'm trying to get a refund and have Dennis and me and Joe install our own system that
I'm
works.
sure the high school broadcast, yeah, you were also doing it. They did, but they didn't show up.
Thank you. I
Thank you.
appreciate it.
Thank you. Amy?
Just saying, they didn't show up.
Hi everyone, thank you so much for giving me a little bit of time here again today. My name is Amy Waldfogel and I'm here as the president of your local community theater organization, the Village Players of Fort Thomas, located up at 8 North Fort Thomas Avenue in what used to be called the Women's Club Building. I just came here today to brag a little bit on a few of our members. Very recently we had a number of people enter the Kentucky Theater Association Roots of Bluegrass playwriting competition, and we brought home several awards. Terry Foltz, who is a Fort Thomas resident, won first prize for 1X. Angela Cookie Forbes, another Fort Thomas resident, won first prize for a 10-minute play that she wrote. And another of our members, Bill Broha, from nearby Union, won second place in that 10-minute competition. All three of these playwrights, by the way, are featured in our next main stage production, which is called Holidays 2. It is 10 short plays, several 10-minute plays, and not 10. A number of short plays by Angela and Terry and Bill and a couple of other friends of the Village Players. And that will be happening December 6th through the 15th, the first 2 weekends of December. Tickets are available on villageplayers.org, as is a 3-show season package to finish out our season. We also look forward to welcoming the people of Fort Thomas into our building for the holiday walk, where we will have Mrs. Claus collecting letters to Santa to take with her to the North Pole. Thank you.
Thank you.
Oh, yeah, sure.
Are you a member of the Fort Thomas Business Association?
We are.
You are, okay. I just want to make, they have a great network of people there.
Mm-hmm.
Get in here.
Play rehearsals have a real bad tendency to get in the way of some of those events.
I got, maybe you can send anybody to it, you know, it doesn't have to be you necessarily represented, but that is a fantastic group of individuals all dedicated to our city. You know, making sure you've been up here a lot getting your message across, and I think that's another way to do it.
it's been real nice to hear what's going on in the area as well.
It's been great hearing from you.
Thank you so much.
All right, thank you all. We are down to reports of officers. Chief Fire Department report.
Yeah, Mayor, thank you. I don't have anything to add to my report, and I'll entertain any questions.
Any questions for the chief?
Yeah.
I didn't say that.
Yeah.
And I did not set them.
Police Department report, chief.
Thanks, Mayor. Just briefly, we had our DEA drug take back in October, taking 174 pounds of unused prescription drugs. In addition to the spring event and the locker out in the lobby being full about once every 2 weeks, it's a lot of unused medication that we're disposing of correctly. So that's all I had to add to the report.
Did you say 174 pounds?
Yes, sir.
That is a lot.
That's not with bottles, correct?
That's after
That's
they take
just
all the
pill.
packaging.
They have to take all the packaging.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, it's a lot. There's certainly a need there for that program.
Oh gosh, yes.
That's
Great, thanks.
all I had.
Oh, I forgot to do receive and file thing.
Oh, I was getting ready.
Hey, he's getting ready to go. Okay. I need to entertain a motion for receiving and filing his non-report.
And mustache.
And the mustache, okay. Second?
I did it.
All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Okay. Now on for the police, police chief's report.
One liner was
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, good. Now the city administrator's report.
Thank you, Mayor. It's got a short one this month. The Rossburg culvert should be open this week was the plan. With the weather coming in, it'll probably be next week, but we're very close to completing that project. We've got 97.5% of taxes collected, which is pretty good for a city. We've sent out all delinquent notices and have getting people paying those this month. Legislation, we do have the second reading for amending the personnel ordinance with the old org chart in it. And then the second is the first reading of the Unified Development Ordinance. And if any of us questions, that's all I have.
Okay.
Can you give me an update on the dam, the water facility down on Memorial Parkway?
No, they are filling it.
They are
And well, yeah, I noticed yesterday they're actually.
That forest that's in there.
Yeah, but it's the dam is still covered with plastic, which is what I'm assuming that it's still in bad position, but I guess it's good enough to fill it up, or it's filling it up might add more stability to the dam actually. So, but no, I need to get an update on that. I haven't for a while. Thank you.
Okay, we have no old business, new business, down to finance. Sorry.
Report of committees. My report was so
Oh,
short
I'm sorry.
because of report
I'm sorry,
committees.
right, report.
I didn't want to take no thunder.
Recreation Committee update. My apologies.
Thank you, Mayor. We, the Recreation Committee met on November 13th and discussed a couple topics, one of which was the tennis courts at Tower Park. We as a committee decided to not do the overlay, the 2-inch overlay because of the continued cost that causes, and to move forward with mill it down.
You said not to do the resurfacing only.
Yes.
Right.
Yes, we decided not to do the resurfacing, only to move forward with the milling down.
Yeah.
And just because of the cost average, this was a financially better, it's more upfront, but over the length of time that we would get out of the new surface, the financials work out better doing it all upfront. The total cost is $450,000, but that does include the path around. We're going to put a new path all the way around the tennis courts, paved path, and we will restrike the lower 2 courts for pickleball, so that it will be a double use, continue as a double use down there. We also brought up adding a kind of making the slope, the hill that goes down to the second courts, and adding some steps there. So repaving that area, making it more accessible, putting up a railing, and adding some steps. And that's all part of that $450,000. What's next? So we discussed the playground equipment at Highland Hills Park. The committee was in favor of the concept of two separate playgrounds, an older and a younger playground. We're still trying to figure out where, well, we know where they're gonna go. We're trying to figure out which one's gonna go where. Close to the bathrooms or close to the shelter. And we're gonna do a little bit more investigating on that to figure out the layout. Next thing would be the Riggs Memorial Park. And we do have plans to address that after Highland Park is finished. And also we discussed putting a new entrance kayak ramp down at on Route 8 below the Tower Hill Road, is that right? North of Tower Hill Road, north of the icebreakers, or downriver of the icebreakers. We own a piece of property down there, and the city's going to clear it out and make it usable to launch some kayaks there.
Great, thanks for the report. I also need a report from the Public Utilities and Buildings update.
Thank you. Also on November 13th, the Public Utilities and Building Committee met on the Duke Energy LED streetlight program that we've been offered to participate in. So currently when a streetlight goes out, if it can be repaired, they do it. If not, they replace it with the new LED lights. Right now I think we've got 10 of those lights in the city so far. There are 816 street lights and 84 lamp posts that will be part of the program if we decided to participate in it. So there'd be a cost of $636,000 up front to the city to do that. $441,000 for the street lights and $95,000 for the lamp posts. And that would, we think, we're going back to get some clarity on some of the numbers, but we think that would save the city $7,000 a month right now. So if those numbers, they can be lowered potentially, or we verify that savings, we can potentially move forward with that program, but we're not going to do anything right now until the city's reaching out to get some more information, and we'll come back and look at the new numbers, see if we want to move forward or not.
Great, thank you. Okay, Public Works Committee.
This was a great meeting on the 13th. You know, 3 committees getting together, all 6 of us there. I thought it was everybody was very engaged and just was really well and smooth, and a lot of great things come out of it. I'm the chair of the Public Works Committee. We met on November 13th at 9 a.m. along with the other committees. The first topic we discussed was the Midway Streetscape. This project will continue the streetscape from Garrison to Grandview and Pet Road Place intersections, basically from the post and then Pet Once, right? Just to the right of Pet Once. Is that right? Yes. Yeah, so everybody gets a good idea where it's not a very long area, but it does complete what we have already done in the Midway area, brings everything together with that. This includes taking all the overhead utility lines, placing them underground and widening the sidewalks through that area with bump outs and improved crosswalks. The cost of the plan is estimated at $3.8 million and can be ready to bid out in January. The committee asked staff to, we all decided to look at other options to lessen the costs so we can do an on-site discussion there so we can see exactly what they're talking about there. The meeting we plan later with when Matt gets all this together, figure out where we can go. This is a great project. I mean, I think burying the power lines is one of the things I constantly hear about, how good they look on the north side of town. The Midway District, on its own, has created its own entity. In my mind, they really have built themselves up with not as much help as some of the other parts of town. And this would really complete with the Tower Park improvements, the Alexandria Circle back there, with the new soccer complex we've had. This will just add a really nice vibe from the post all the way up to Grassroots and Vine. The cost seems a lot, but I think we need to make sure we're we focused on other areas of town, and that area I think deserves it, and they've done a great job on it, so I'm really excited to see if we can do that. I think it could be a great addition if the numbers work. This is something I'm actually really excited about too as well. I've always said, let's hire more people, we can take care of more things in town and make ourselves look great. The city administration requested the addition of 2 more green space employees to help maintain the green space in town. I think that gives us a total of 6 green space only employees. The annual cost of $136,000 for both, with the addition of the new Tower Park playground, and we need to better maintain the existing landscaping parks. It's a great addition. Staff requested a budget amendment of $57,000 to hire 2 employees by March to train them for the spring season. Do I need to make this motion? Okay, so that's what I said. Make a motion to approve $57,000 budget amendment for the addition of 2 additional full-time green space employees.
Second. Roll call vote, please.
Mrs. McIntosh?
Mr. Hendrick? Mr. Ellison?
Aye.
Mr. Beagle?
Aye.
Mr. Black?
Aye.
Mr. Strange?
Aye.
That's all I have from that committee. That was a fantastic meeting with everybody. It really was.
Great, thanks. Okay, now down to old business. New business, we don't have anything on that. Finance committee report on disbursements.
One second, I do have some things I want to discuss. You want me to discuss them now? Real quick, just want to read, I think I always wait till new business. I never know when to do it. One is the scooter, the language for the bicycle code. That was a few months ago, so I just want to kind of follow up to see where we are on that.
It's on my mark.
Okay,
So,
it's up there.
yeah, I'll try my best to have it by next week.
Okay, cool. Another one was, I emailed you on this, and we are adding this historical overlay, and I think a lot of those people bought those homes at a great price. And there is a significant cost to do it the right way, a higher cost than they probably were expecting, and obviously in the last 5 years, cost of materials and supplies have gone up. And I think we all value that part of town a lot, and I reached out to Matt, and I wanted to get a census from you guys on how you feel about maybe taking the grant program we have for the front of the businesses and adding anything in a historical overlay, with possibly getting some city funds to help them maintain their property. When Matt reached out to me, got back to me, said there's usually a little bit of money left over, 10 to 20 grand from that $60,000. Is that what you said? Something like that? There has been recently, right? Yeah. Some years are different. I just didn't know how everybody felt about that, because I mean, we value our businesses and the facades of our businesses. I think Tower Park is the shining example of who we are and our history. We put a lot of money into it, and with adding these overlays and the cost, I think it might be a nice way to offset some of the costs they have and make sure they maintain these properties like they should. So is there any feedback on that? Everybody think about maybe possibly, I don't know who would put that together, the Renaissance Board put back together the last proposal. I don't know who you would have to do that.
And we would put it together, staff would, and then council. So what he's talking about is doing a grant program, and it would be like a secondary grant that would be with the leftover funds from the Gray grants that they're unused towards storage homes. And like I told Adam, we'd have to be able to justify and put in there reasons why it's okay to do, use tax dollars for it and things like that. But so there's a couple of little things to work out, but staff could definitely try to put something together to do that.
Anybody didn't hear more about it, I should say.
I'd be fine hearing more about it. Are we talking, this is specific to the Tower Park overlay?
Anything, yeah, because of their historic overlay. I would assume anything with historic overlay is tightened with the standards that they're held to. You know what I mean? So, I mean, you have to tighten it up. I don't know where to begin from there. It's the beginning of the conversation. But that's my thought also on when they're, when they're required to use real wood for their windows and the single pane glass and metal roofs. And it's a lot. So.
I'd like to hear more about it.
Yeah, that's all. Let me just do a little more research on it.
Yeah, I'll do a little research and just see what other cities are doing this, and just check with Tim and see if we can just like legally.
Cool. Yeah. 2 more things. I thought this one was really cool. Fort Wright there was an article on October 17th, 2024, where Fort Wright maintains ethical standards in recertification training. And they do recertification training. I don't know how often it is here. It's a very short article, but every 5 years, or through the Kentucky League of Cities. There are 34 cities in Kentucky that have adopted principles and procedures that offer guidance on ethical issues. I think it's not a bad thing to say. I mean, I would enjoy seeing that. The Kentucky League of Cities puts it on. And maybe you could tie it in with our comprehensive plan every 5 years, and then we get some education on making sure we're handling our, proper practices for how we handle ourselves and make sure we're not overstepping. I had mentioned it, I think you had read this article, mentioned it to me. And so I didn't know how anybody else felt about maybe possibly looking into this and having us sit through a seminar that puts us in line. It's just in the box we can check on what we're doing to make sure we're following the guidelines that are presented for us. So
that's pretty straightforward from KLC. They lay out what's required. They come up and do a training. It's based upon our ethics ordinance. It's just to certify the.
I know, it's just nice that we would hear that and make sure that the public understands that we're doing everything we can to keep above board. Would everybody be interested in something like that?
Do we have a code of ethics for staff that they sign, or how's that work out?
Yes. Well, I mean, they're a part of our ethics, and then there's part of our policy manual.
Well, you were updating the ethics, weren't you working with me to help update our stuff? You're still working through that? And the last thing I want to talk about is, I just want to follow up with what the conversation we had about the Ameristop area, and get a consensus that, do we want to review that? Is everybody up for reviewing that at some point? Do we want to wait until after, or so it's less cumbersome for public hearings? I know I heard that Andy said he would like it. Eric said he would like to review that. I know I would like to review it for commercial, only one floor. I think Ben, I don't know if he agreed to it, but you might have said, I think there's been people talking about it. Yeah.
Unless I was mistaken, I thought there was a motion made to approve the UDO with the exceptions. I'm getting ready to read in.
No, I know that. I'm just saying that, we still have time to adjust it between the first reading and the second. I'm not saying that we do it now. I just want to get everybody's opinion to make sure that we would like to review this and how we'd like to go pursue it in the future and when, so that it's not just something that we say and not table it and then forget about it.
Why don't we've already talked about having a meeting to talk about Article 1 and the expanded powers of the different boards and commissions. Why don't we add that to the agenda?
Yeah, I can definitely do that, but just like before, can you guys send me your initial thoughts, just so I can have at least a kind of prepared for that, so it's not just.
And I think it's more of a preparation on what it would look like and what it would take to get it done and what the best options are if we want to change it.
But I want to know what the change is. If you could, Eric, I think you had brought that up before. If you could just shoot me an email, just the basic changes you're looking for that area, and I think Andy or anybody that has opinions about that specific area.
Were we talking about the convenient store? Yeah, what? Yeah, I think we discussed it. To be in one. You're talking one story and
one story in their residential.
Yeah.
Is that the summary?
Right. Yeah, that's where we left it at the meeting, planning and zoning meeting.
Okay.
Which glad Eric brought it up because we were just talking about it. I was surprised that was not updated.
Okay. And one more thing real here. I don't know when to say this, but we have the personnel ordinance and approve it today. I didn't get a copy of it in my packet. So
The actual ordinance?
The actual municipal, so it's hard for me to approve something I haven't been able to read through.
It's the same as.
Well, I mean, we didn't get a copy.
Same as last month.
No, it's different because we're at an organizational chart and I haven't actually seen it. So it's not.
It's the old one I had on your desk.
Yeah, it's the same org chart that.
Last month.
It wasn't, I would have liked to have seen it before we approved it, that's all. Anybody else feel comfortable voting for it without seeing it, the final copy of it?
Well, I would go by, we're gonna see it. I'd go by your word that it's the same thing.
It's the same one as the
So
original.
the only change in it.
Yes, that's the one, right, that's the one I handed out last month.
So the only change in the document has to do with the police officers exiting.
That and, it's that and bereavement paragraph.
Yeah.
Those are the only two things.
And then the original organizational chart's back in it, so, okay.
The one from the 2000.
All right, that's all.
So Tim, are those changes going to be, for lack of a better term, the convenience store
What?
Are those reflected then in the first reading?
I mean, no, it would be the second reading.
Well, no, they would be an amendment.
If you're talking about, changing things, so if you have a one floor restriction in that area, we're gonna go back to a public hearing. Right. Now, what we're gonna do today, I'm going to read findings of fact that, are consistent with the motion that was approved. I'll read the ordinance, then, there will be no vote on the ordinance, obviously, it's a first reading. You've already voted on the findings, and so, now, at the next hearing, between now and then, y'all will decide if you wanna have a public hearing on that issue, or if you want to vote to approve the ordinance, and potentially take a look at that issue, to amend it later.
All right.
I have something there. Had a conversation with a group this weekend. Can we reach out to, I guess it's KYTC or somebody about the 471 noise barrier that is on the right side of the road?
Yes. I did that the first month I was here, because it's always annoyed me, because I can literally stick my head through in the holes.
Yeah.
And I just want to have to.
Yeah, some of those, it's getting pretty bad.
So,
That's a good point, Jeff.
what I was told by KYTC, if you look at it, actually Newport's section of it is pretty nice, but ours isn't, and I think that's because that's where they start plowing
Salt, yeah.
and the salt gets, you see this progression. So KYTC said that they will replace it when they widen 471.
Or at least if we painted
There's nothing to paint. I mean, it's drive slow, because we usually don't, but I mean, it's bad. It's just rusted. It's so rusted.
That was their initial no. What was our next step? Turn that no.
I thought this was only my annoyance, so I never brought it up to anybody else. I just
Oh, it was a
Um,
round table on Fireball.
Did you? Okay. Well, let me reach out to KYTC. I'm waiting for them to approve the river road stuff before dealing with something else, but I'll bring it up again. And at least get a timeline, because I think they are planning on it, but I'm sure it's gonna be 5 to 10 years before
I don't know. It might not be standing that long.
it's true, so. We just need a good wreck out there.
Hey, somebody.
No, I didn't realize anybody else cared about that.
Oh, it's
So,
terrible. I
okay.
think about it, I don't know why I've never brought it up, like,
Okay.
every time I drive by it.
Yep, I'll follow up.
That's a nice neighborhood behind it too, you know, I mean, not all of it, but it's probably not as effective as it was.
Plus, we have 100,000 cars driving on there every single day. With
That's right.
Right. Thank you.
All right, we're down to Finance Committee report on disbursement.
Report of disbursements, October 18th through November 15th, 2024. General fund, $653,790.05. Public Works KDOT fund, $152,019.37. CDBG revitalization, $22,322.89. Waste fees, $129,262.92. Total $957,395.23. We, the undersigned members of the Finance Committee, recommend that warrants number 26216 through 26392 be approved and the treasurer be authorized to issue checks for their payment. Mr. Pendry, chairperson; Mr. Beazle, member; Mr. Strange, member; Mr. Ellison, member.
Motion.
What's the motion for this?
Concur in recommendation. Okay, second, roll call vote.
Mrs. McIntosh? Aye. Mr. Pendry?
Aye.
Mr. Ellison?
Aye.
Mr. Beazle?
Aye.
Mr. Blau?
Aye.
Mr. Strange?
Okay, ordinance, resolutions, and orders. Ordinance 09-2024.
And ordinance repealing ordinance 004/2007 and any subsequent amendments thereto, including but not limited to ordinance 006/2019, which had previously adopted and promulgated a new personnel policies and procedures manual.
Motion. Move to approve. Is there a second?
Second.
Roll call. Yes. Roll call, please.
Mr. Beazle.
Aye.
Mr. Black.
Aye.
Mr. Pendry.
Aye.
Mr. Ellison.
Aye.
Mrs. McIntosh. Mr. Strange.
Okay, now ordinance 010.
That is a motion, first of all, a motion was made, seconded, and approved to adopt a new unified development ordinance. The motion was made in accordance with findings of facts, which omitted the Fort Thomas Avenue overlay and prohibited murals, which said findings were reduced to writing and incorporated by reference in the motion to approve. That ordinance is an ordinance of the city of Fort Thomas in Campbell County, Kentucky, repealing the official zoning ordinance of the city of Fort Thomas, Kentucky ordinance 013/2012, amendments thereto, as well as ordinances, regulations, codes, and/or orders in conflict herewith, and repealing the official subdivision regulations enacted in May of 1990, as well as all amendments thereto, and adopting and approving pursuant to KRS Chapter 100, new zoning and subdivision regulations, and zoning map as the official unified development ordinance and zoning map for the city of Fort Thomas, Kentucky.
All right, that's the first reading.
Okay, Mayor, I would like to make a motion to enter into executive session per KRS 61.810, paragraph B, deliberations on the future acquisition or sale of real property by a public agency.
That's the motion, is there a second? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Okay. We're going to into executive section. Thank you all. You're welcome to wait. We don't expect any action tonight. You're welcome to wait around until we come back. We might be there till midnight.